Hello friends, welcome to Defense and Technology. On this channel you will get fully information about defense and technology. Let's view the video. The SR-71 Blackbird. Birth of a legend. The secret origins of the SR-71. In the tense shadows of the Cold War, a new kind of warfare was emerging. One where information, not bullets, would determine global dominance. The United States needed eyes in the sky that could see everything, deep behind the Iron Curtain, without ever being caught. Enter Lockheed's Skunk Works, a secretive division known for doing the impossible. Headed by the legendary aerospace engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson, this team had already stunned the world with the U-2 spy plane. But in 1960, when Francis Gary Powers was shot down over the Soviet Union in a U-2, it became clear America needed a faster, higher-flying, and stealthier aircraft. That was the moment the SR-71 Blackbird began to take shape. Not on a battlefield, but on a blueprint board locked inside a classified facility in Burbank, California. Codenamed Project Oxcart, the aircraft that would eventually become the SR-71 was cloaked in absolute secrecy. Even high-ranking officials in the Pentagon didn't know about it. The challenge was unprecedented. Build an aircraft that could cruise at over 85,000 feet, exceed Mach 3 in speed, and evade every known radar system. Every aspect of the Blackbird's development pushed boundaries. Titanium, a rare and difficult metal to work with, became the backbone of the design. Ironically, much of it had to be sourced from the Soviet Union through third-party countries, while building a plane designed to spy on them. Within just a few years, the dream became reality. The first prototype, known as the A-12, roared into the skies. It was followed by a refined twin-seat version, the SR-71, a marvel of engineering, speed, and stealth. But this was no ordinary plane. It couldn't even be tested at regular airfields. Groom Lake, now famously known as Area 51, became its proving ground, hidden deep in the Nevada desert. What began as a response to geopolitical tension quickly turned into the birth of a technological legend. The SR-71 was more than just a spy plane. It was a symbol of how far human ingenuity could reach when pushed by the pressure of survival and secrecy. Engineering the impossible. Design and technology of the Blackbird. Designing the fine. SR-71 was like building a spaceship meant to fly through Earth's atmosphere. No aircraft before, or since, has required such a radical departure from conventional engineering. The first challenge was speed. To exceed Mach 3.2, the SR-71 would generate intense friction, causing its skin to heat up to over 600 degrees, 316 degrees C. Traditional aluminum would melt at those temperatures, so engineers turned to titanium, a metal both strong and light, but notoriously hard to work with. The tools, welding methods, and even the workers had to be retrained to handle it. Then came stealth. Even before stealth was a buzzword, the SR-71's engineers were developing radar-absorbing paint and uniquely angled surfaces to reduce radar cross-section. The design included Chinese, the sleek knife-like edges running along the fuselage, adding both aerodynamic stability and radar deflection. The engines were another miracle. The Pratt & Whitney J58 turbojet wasn't just powerful, it was transformative. At subsonic speeds, it worked like a regular jet engine. But as the Blackbird accelerated, the engine's bypass system transformed it into more of a ramjet, allowing it to thrive at hypersonic speeds. This meant the SR-71 got more efficient the faster it flew, an engineering paradox made real. But speed came at a price. The plane leaked fuel on the ground because its titanium skin expanded during flight to seal its tanks. Engineers had to develop a new type of fuel, JP7, which had an incredibly high flash point to avoid igniting from the intense heat. And the cockpit? It was more like a space capsule. Pilots wore pressurized suits nearly identical to those used by astronauts. Every mission meant enduring extreme temperatures, unimaginable speeds, and the knowledge that ejecting at Mach 3 was almost certainly fatal. Yet somehow, all these elements came together. The SR-71 wasn't just fast, it was self-sustaining, radar elusive and practically untouchable. No Blackbird was ever shot down during its career. Surface-to-air missiles were launched, fighter jets scrambled, but the SR-71 simply outran them all. The SR-71 wasn't built to fight. It was built to observe, to watch from the stratosphere with an all-seeing eye. And it did so with an elegance and power that no aircraft has ever matched again. Masters of speed, flying the SR-71. Imagine being strapped into a machine that rockets through the sky at 3 times the speed of sound, soaring at the edge of space. That was daily life for SR-71 pilots, the most elite aviators in the U.S. Air Force, but flying the Blackbird wasn't just a skill. It was an art form wrapped in danger and precision. Every mission began long before takeoff. Pilots were suited up in pressurized flight suits, eerily similar to those worn by astronauts. These weren't for show. The cockpit wasn't pressurized like a commercial jet. One failure at 85,000 feet meant your blood could literally boil. Climbing into the cockpit felt like entering a spacecraft. There were hundreds of dials, switches, and gauges, each with a life-saving role. Once airborne, takeoff was smooth, but once the afterburners kicked in, it was like lighting a rocket. The J-58 engines roared to life, and the Blackbird began its ascent into the thin, blue-black upper atmosphere. But the real challenge came mid-flight. At Mach 3.2, everything changed. Air friction caused the aircraft's skin to glow red-hot. The nose cone could reach over 600 degrees Celsius, enough to cook a meal. Pilots described a bizarre phenomenon, watching the fuselage expand several inches mid-flight. The plane actually got longer the faster it flew. There was no room for error. The SR-71 moved at a mile every 1.6 seconds. Miss your waypoint by a fraction of a second, and you were hundreds of miles off course. There were no second chances at this altitude and speed. Refueling was equally nerve-wracking, done mid-air with a specially modified KC-135Q tanker. Imagine trying to plug a fuel hose into a jet traveling at hundreds of miles per hour in thin air, wearing a spacesuit. Despite these challenges, the SR-71 remained invincible in the skies. Surface-to-air missiles were frequently launched, but none ever struck a Blackbird. The protocol? Pilots were trained to simply speed up. At Mach 3+, no weapon on Earth could catch it. Flying the SR-71 wasn't just about collecting intelligence. It was about surviving the most extreme flight conditions ever endured by man. Every successful mission wasn't just a triumph of technology. It was a testament to human endurance, courage, and precision. Eyes in the sky, recon missions that changed history. The SR-71 Blackbird was built not to fight, but to see everything. It was the ultimate intelligence-gathering platform in human history, soaring silently over enemy territory, while cameras captured images so clear they could read license plates from 85,000 feet. Each mission was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse during the Cold War. The enemy knew the SR-71 was coming, but could do nothing to stop it. From the Soviet Union to North Korea, Vietnam to the Middle East, the Blackbird flew over 3,500 recon missions across global hotspots. Inside its sleek black frame, the SR-71 carried an arsenal of sensors. Long-range cameras, infrared detectors, electronic intelligence gear, and radar mapping systems transformed the aircraft into a flying surveillance lab. It could photograph 100,000 square miles in a single hour without being seen or heard from the ground. One of the most legendary missions occurred during the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Within hours of conflict breaking out, SR-71s were flying over the Sinai Peninsula and Golan Heights. The detailed imagery they captured gave the U.S. government vital insights, influencing diplomatic and military decisions that helped avert a broader regional war. In Vietnam, the Blackbird flew deep into hostile skies, collecting real-time intelligence on troop movements, missile placements, and supply chains along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Not once was it shot down. Its motto? You can't hit what you can't catch. And then there were missions the public still doesn't know about. Classified flyovers of nuclear sites, missile silos, and secret military installations in nations that officially denied any presence. The SR-71 wasn't just capturing photos, it was shaping global strategy behind closed doors. Despite never firing a weapon, the SR-71 was a weapon of peace. It gave leaders the clarity they needed to avoid escalation. When tensions reached a boiling point, Blackbird reconnaissance offered answers no satellite or spy could provide in time. Every flight was an act of calculated defiance, a silent message to the world. We see everything, and we are untouchable. In the Battle of Secrets, the SR-71 was not just a plane, it was a ghost, a phantom that changed the course of wars without ever engaging in one. The legacy lives on, retirement and impact on modern aviation. When the SR-71 was retired in 1998, the world lost more than just an aircraft. It lost a symbol of human possibility. But the Blackbird's spirit never truly vanished. Its aerodynamic design, stealth innovations, and engine technology have influenced every high-speed aircraft developed since, from experimental drones to next-gen fighters and even NASA research platforms. The Blackbird proved one thing above all: speed and information are the ultimate power. And even today, in an age of satellites and AI, the legend of the SR-71 continues to inspire the future of aerospace defense and beyond. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel Defense and Technology for more interesting and knowledgeful videos.